Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So crazy UFC event. I'm going to be just talking about it, my thoughts, go over the predictions that I had prior to it, and just kind of moving forward, what is going to happen with some of these fighters, right? So I feel like we have to jump off or start off with the main event, the fight that we were all looking forward to, and that was Alexander Volkanovski going up against Islam Makhachev. Man, it did not disappoint. I called it. I made a previous video right before this, my predictions of the fight. I thought Islam was going to win. Now, in my opinion, I didn't think it was going to end in a knockout. I thought it would either be a submission or it would go all 5 rounds, but I do think Islam was going to be either win by unanimous decision, that whole kind of thing. For him to win by a knockout in the first round is insane. I mean, I do want to preface, I love both fighters. The fact that Alexander Volkanovski took this fight on like a 10-day notice is absolutely insane, considering the opponent that he's going up against. Islam is not one of those fighters that you just take 10 days notice on and you fight. This is like, he is arguably the greatest fighter in the UFC currently right now. I would probably say below Jon Jones. Because in my opinion, Jon Jones is like the best fighter, the GOAT. But anyways, crazy, gets a left head kick, right? And the crazy part about it, if you watch the fight, was that Alexander actually like defended the kick, but it went a little above, and just that little amount can knock you out. So fell down. Obviously, Islam, great grappler, was able to finish, by punches, but man, crazy. I know Alexander Volkanovski is definitely disappointed with that performance, but again, I don't think any other fighter would have stepped up in that moment. And to go up against Islam on 10 days' notice, that's insane. But again, no excuses. I respect Alexander Volkanovski for not making excuses after the fight, because there are definitely a lot of fighters in that roster, in that weight class, that would have made a lot of excuses as to why they lost. But Islam did everything that he said he was going to do. He was going to show people that the first fight, that wasn't his best performance, but he's much better than that. And we saw him improve. I mean, great kicks. Kind of did a really good job of like getting Alexander to have further distance across. So incredible, really special fight. Now looking forward, Alexander Volkanovski spoke a lot about kind of the almost like depression that happens after or when he's not fighting. So he obviously wants to fight pretty soon. Now, in my opinion, do I think he should fight soon? No, but I know a lot of those guys from Australia and New Zealand love to stay active, so it's going to be interesting who he would go up against. A lot of fighters, but honestly, he's taken out that entire division, so it's going to be interesting. Now, onto the co-main event, we had Khamzat going up against Usman. So, man, that was interesting, I will say. I feel like Kamaru Usman looked really good in that fight. Obviously, the first round, I didn't think he looked that good. But the second and third rounds, I felt like Kamaru was holding up his own. I felt like if that fight went 5 rounds, it's possible like Kamaru definitely could have won. And I felt like Kamaru was definitely a bit slow during that entire event, or during that entire fight, whereas Khamzat was really trying to go for those takedowns, apply that pressure. But I don't think Khamzat looked as good as what people think he is, right? Like, I think a lot of people, when they watched Khabib, it was like everyone knew that every single fight Khabib was going to take someone down, maul them, grapple them the entire time. Great striking, like people knew that. I feel like with Khamzat, like there's an expectation that he's this just like freak, like this monster that just like can take down anybody, but like I don't feel like we see that. Obviously, to take down Kamaru Usman is a very impressive feat, but no, I don't think he is really, at least not yet. I don't think he's really proven that he is like the top fighter, especially in that division. So pretty interesting, but again, won by decision. I think it was a pretty good fight, but yeah, I don't know. Definitely the main event was the biggest thing that I look forward to. Now, another fight that I want to talk about is obviously the Johnny Walker fight. man, what a horrible way to just end that fight. The doctor obviously, you know, if you haven't seen the fight, essentially there was an illegal knee that was kicked. Johnny Walker was kind of answering questions, which I imagine is like a language barrier. Guy said, "Where are you right now?" He said he's in the desert, which is kind of like, yes, you're in the desert, but also like, if a doctor asks you that, would you really say that? Like, no. Like, the doctor's like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "In the city," right? It's like, that's not really a clear answer. Like, you want to say like, "Oh, I'm in I'm in the UFC arena right now. I'm in Abu Dhabi," like something more specific. And obviously that wasn't the best call from the doctor, in my opinion. So pretty tough. Always want fights to kind of go longer, and to see it kind of end like that was not really super great. So yeah, now what I want to talk about is what is next for some of these fighters, right? Like, what's going to happen now after what just occurred. And I think for Islam, there's a lot of options. I think what I like about him, and I feel like a lot of these Dagestani fighters, is just they want opponents. It doesn't matter who it is, they just want these opponents. And to be honest, I think there's a few options. I think one, you could have Justin Gaethje. I think that would be an interesting fight. You know, Justin Gaethje is a great fighter, a lot of power, great leg kicks, went up against Khabib, so that would be an interesting fight. You also could try to do the Charles Oliveira fight again, so try to, you know, hopefully have him where he's not injured, no issues with that, so that could be interesting. And I saw this thing on Reddit where someone was saying Conor McGregor versus Islam. I don't think that would happen. As much as I love Conor, just as a fighter in the UFC, I don't think that would happen. And to be completely honest, I definitely think that Islam would win that fight. Conor would only win that fight if, I don't know, something really odd would have to happen for him to win. But yeah, I think Islam, he has a lot of options right now, and I think the UFC is going to try to pick obviously the biggest fight for him. If I think what is the biggest one, I would probably say Justin Gaethje. I think would be really interesting to have him go up against Islam. So we'll see. Now for Alexander Volkanovski, you've wiped out an entire division for like 10, I think it was 10 years that he's not been knocked out, so that's insane. But man, like, you've already done the Max Holloway rematches multiple times. Alexander clearly has proved that he was the winner of multiple of those fights. You obviously have, took out Yair Rodriguez, took out Brian Ortega. Just like, he has dominated the entire division. I don't even know who he would fight, like, just because he's already dominated everybody in that division. So I really don't know. That's actually a good thing. I don't know who he would go up against. He's just so dominant. So yeah, pretty interesting. I don't know. But yeah, next for Kamaru Usman. So obviously you're coming off of a losing streak currently right now, but again, he doesn't look too bad. He doesn't seem like he's like lost a ton of his credibility. I do think obviously, like, when you are on a losing streak, you're not going to be at the top of your game. Obviously he got knocked out that time. I feel like most fighters who get knocked out after like a really big loss don't ever come back the same. But what I do think is, you know, I think he still has a very solid place in this UFC if he wants to keep competing. And will he ever be champion again? I don't know. I honestly don't really think so, but I think he's an incredible fighter and really, really good at welterweight, like arguably the best welterweight ever. So yeah, and then I think if you're Khamzat, right, obviously there's so much hype behind you. The UFC clearly is backing him. They want him to grow. They want him to be a big name. Obviously, when you go to Abu Dhabi, he's a crazy name there, as well as Islam. So I don't know. I think if you're Khamzat, you know, it would be interesting to see who will win the Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards fight. I think that would be interesting to see Khamzat go for the title, but again, I don't think he's really worthy of it yet. I do think he kind of needs to either prove himself a little bit more before he can actually do that. I feel like a fight against like Wonder Boy would be really cool to see, like Khamzat versus Wonder Boy. I think that would be awesome. Do I think that fight's going to happen? I don't know, but I feel like that would be an awesome fight. But my probably my preference, what I would love to see is Bo Nickel go up against Khamzat. I feel like that would be so cool to watch. Not only for the press conference, but just stylistically, like in the fight. I think that would be so interesting to see those two go head to head, and kind of who's the better wrestler, who's a better grappler. If I had to choose a winner for that fight, truthfully, I would probably pick Bo Nickel, in my opinion. But yeah, crazy. But again, super great time to be a UFC fan. Really looking forward to the UFC fight with John Jones and Stipe Miocic. Man, that's going to be crazy. Cannot wait for that. John Jones, I know, is going to win, go down as the greatest of all time. Hopefully he doesn't do anything dumb with drugs, stuff like that. But again, looking forward to that. That's going to be incredible. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Did you guys like that UFC fight? Did you like kind of how everything went down? And what are you looking forward to next, right? So thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Bye.